Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome to Inside the Pro Mind. My name's Gary, and I am joined by our guy that spent the last 2 years working with every one of our top pros out on the tour as the leader of the tour reps, Mr. Rob Gotchall. What's going on, Rob?
Thanks, Gary. It's great to be here. I'm excited to chat with you about what's inside the pro's mind.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're doing some different things now with our YouTube page. We're wanting what the fans have asked for is more behind the scenes and more education. And so we're going to do a lot more of these type of videos with people like yourself that are in the know and they are like living it day in and day out. And the hope is some of the information, like in today's show, is all about getting us regular league bowlers like myself to think a little differently and maybe get a little bit better at our own games just by absorbing some of what the pros think about and how they train and what their mind is really focused on, Rob.
Yeah, I love the concept. We're in an information age and in a digital space now, and I love where Storm's going with this concept, and hope I can share some insight that somebody learns and gets better out there on the lanes.
All right, so for everyone tuning in at home, what's going to happen is I am going to ask a series of questions to Rob, and then Rob is going to provide his deep inside knowledge and share with us so that we can all get a little bit better. And again, it's kind of fun for me too because I do still actively bowl a little bit. I'm not very good anymore. I don't know if I was ever any good, but what's fun is Rob, you just finished the women's tour where we had a very good season working with the top lady pros, and before the women's tour, of course, you worked with all the male pros that are bowling on the PBA tour, and then some of the ladies when they would show up to those type of events as well. And so you're coming direct from the fire to answer our questions.
For sure, it's good to be home, but at the same time, it's very weird to be home.
Yeah.
After spending a lot of time on the road, but there's long days that are involved, but it's worth it while you're helping people chase their dreams of being successful at the professional level.
All right, Rob, we're going to jump into it. I've got 5 questions for you today. We've got a couple of little commercials to play in between. We're going to have this little chat. The first question, and we're just going to start at the very top. And you don't have to name specific pros if you don't want. It's more generalization, but when a pro, like I'm talking top level, a Belmo, a Simo, a Troop, a Steph Johnson, a Verity, when those folks are walking into a venue, what is the very first thing like they're thinking about? Like what is their mind go to in those early stages?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just kind of get the lay of the land, per se. You know, lane surface, how many lanes they've got, how many we're using for the week. Uh, you know, where's the locker room this week? Where's the player's entrance? Where's player services located? Just kind of getting the lay of the land and the logistics for how the week's going to be. When you're talking lane surface, things like that. You might have a conversation with the bowling center manager or an employee just to get some additional background information. That can help lead to some better decision making for the week. There's many centers people have been to quite a few times, but there's new centers as well each year. And so it's really just trying to kind of understanding the venue of where you're going to be competing that week, and then starting to kind of get into the weeds of the details of, lane patterns, lane oils, things like that once you kind of get settled in.
All right, I like it. And I think that's good. That's pretty true, right? Every environment is different. And in our sport, you've got different things that people sometimes don't even take into consideration because they wouldn't think, well, how would that humidity affect the approach or the way the oil transfers? And I think those are things that you're paying attention to in charting as tour reps. You're always kind of going, man, the humidity's higher today. I don't know personally that's going to do to oil, but I know it changes it, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, any temperature can create different displacements of the oil or how fast it moves. All the oils are different viscosities and things like that. But and then there's certain bowling centers that are generally cold or they're warmer. Just a lot of it depends on what time of year you're bowling in things, and it's just trying to help them get comfortable, help them kind of understand what might be happening. Obviously, they're aware of the weather outside and what the temperature is inside. But yeah, we just try to help them the best we can, through those challenges.
All right, Rob, I want to switch gears here just slightly, a little shift. We talked about what a pro first looks at when they walk into the center. Walk us through how much of a pro's preparation prior to getting into the center is mental versus physical.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough question because a lot of it probably varies on each player. If we're in the middle of the season, there's probably a little less, physical game work, maybe little tweaks here and there between stops. Just trying to kind of button some things up. Like pre-tour, there'll be a lot of physical game work, just trying to make sure they're fundamentally sound, fine tuning some things they may have changed in the off season. But in season, I would say it's a lot mental, mentally preparing for the lane pattern we're going to be bowling on. Scoring pace can definitely dictate mentality, where if you're at like a US Open where, 200 is a good score, you're going to have to just, try to hit the pocket, leave something you can make, and just kind of grind away. But then there's weeks where you bowl in like Cheetah, for example, usually a traditionally high scoring pattern. And so, you got to prepare yourself for that, because there's going to be some games where you don't throw 7 or 8 strikes, and it's how you handle that and how you start working through your process on either playing the lanes, throwing different bowling balls, maybe manipulating the way they throw it just a little bit. But that it really takes a strong mindset both ways. When the scoring base is high, it can be tough, right? You're bowling 220 every game, but the others are bowling 240, and so you feel like you're always climbing uphill. And then at the same time, when you're, like I said, you're bowling the US Open, getting nine's a good thing, but you're always also trying to find ways to throw a few strikes.
Now, that's cool insight. Rob, along the journey today, one of the things we want to do is share some. People always love to see our new products go down the lane. And because I have you and you're so instrumental and part of the technology and the build out of the new products and how the pros are receiving the new products, I thought it'd be fun prior, like leading into the little minute long segment. Like the first one we're going to go to is Gremlin, but this is the hottest ball in the world. The Gremlin is on fire. It is. If you can go get one before it's sold out in your pro shop, because it has just been that good. Just before we play the video, which by the way is super fun for us because our man Roto Schlem, our Rotogrip brand manager, is in the video himself. He used to bowl a long time ago. He was a very good youth bowler as a young lad. He doesn't get to bowl much anymore because he has some injuries and health concerns and stuff like that. So it was really nice that he's in this video. And so don't pick on his bowling style too much, because the guy literally doesn't bowl anymore. And he might be throwing a 12-pound gremlin in this video. But I love that he did the video. What are you seeing out of Gremlin? Just real quick, high-level view.
Yeah, I mean, I was really excited for the Gremlin. It came out kind of in the middle of the PWBA tour. It's an asymmetrical bowling ball, but the thing that I really I liked about it was it has a cleaner cover. And on the women's side of the game, we're bowling in these high friction surfaces in a lot of centers, a lot of environments anymore, and so generally a female's ball speed's a little slower than the men's game, and so some of these big asymmetrical bowling balls, they tend to read the front a little earlier, And so when the Gremlin came out, a little bit cleaner cover, got down the lane. We used it a ton the very first week we had it in Green Bay at the anniversary event that had the arena finals. And so that, to me, that was the one thing that really stood out. It got through the front of the lane, retained its energy, made a nice strong back end motion, much like they had described in the product launch. But it was good to kind of just see it firsthand week one with the ball on the women's tour.
We'll roll that beautiful clip of Schlem having some fun down on the lanes, and then we'll be back for some more questions with Mr. Rob Gotchall, folks. The little gremlin is cute too, man. The logo is on fire. That little guy.
I love the logo.
I love the logo too. The ball's so good, and it's great. Like I said, it's always great. We love our teammates, and Schlem's been with our company for over 20 years doing all sorts of things, but his main role for the past decade has been, and more than a decade, has been this Rotogrip brand manager, and he does a great job. And so for all the Rotogrip fans out there, thank you for your support. Schlem appreciates it. Gremlin is amazing. Go check it out in a local VIP pro shop. Rob, I want to switch a little bit on like lane play and kind of adjustments. This is a big topic when it comes to all levels of bowling because we're a unique sport in that the environment is changing all the time. And I'll let you expand on that with oil and oil not being just applied once. It's moving around all the time. So my question to lead it off is, what are the pros actually looking for when they throw their first few shots, 5 minutes or whatever of practice? Like, as they're just kind of, what are they analyzing in that time frame that helps them?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hear us all talk about benchmark ball, right? And so, we have a little understanding generally of what the pattern is, whether it's your league pattern or whether it's a pattern at a professional event. So we have a general idea kind of what's going to happen. But the reason we all talk about this benchmark ball is it should be the first ball kind of out of your bag. And what that does is that this ball will pretty much give you, it'll tell you what the lane is asking for, right? If your benchmark ball hooks too much, you're probably going to need something a little weaker. If it doesn't hook enough, you need something a little stronger. So in those first few minutes of practice, most people will go to their benchmark type of ball just to see what the lane is telling them, right? It's just information. One of the most unique things about bowling is, our playing field's invisible, to a degree with the oil, like think of a golf course, it's right there in front of you. The tennis court is right there in front of you. There's other variables like wind and stuff like that, but, our playing environment is completely invisible, and we're given a graph or, volume of oil and distance or things like that. And so any information you can get just from your ball traveling down the lane is kind of where you start. And then, when we progress through competition, after that, that's where the tour rep team is heavily involved in scouting pairs and watching other pairs, is trying to help the players understand where the traffic is at. Obviously, as reactive balls go down the lane, they take the oil off the lane. There's other types of balls like urethane that make the oil go down the lane. So us as a team gathering information for them to kind of let them know where the oil's going or where it's, gone, it's instrumental in how they make their decision making, throughout the course of a block.
That's great info. And there is a lot of strategy in our tour team. When we're bowling league or local tournaments, we just don't have the benefit of having our tour reps behind us. But we do have friends and family that might know our game, and they might be able to pitch in and help from time to time with, hey, you might want to move, right? The lane's breaking down. This lane's on fire.
For sure. In league, generally you're not moving pairs. So, kind of all the information's right there in front of you, all the other people bowling on the pair, what types of balls they're throwing, where they're playing the lanes. But in a tournament environment, you're moving pairs, in most tournaments after each game. And so, yeah, you can get down there and maybe take a peek or anything like that, but you don't know what's been happening by every player in front of you. And so any information we can get to help the players down that path, so when they do make the move to the next pair, it's just trying to be ahead of the moves.
I love it. We're going to go into question number 4, Rob, because we might have a bonus question at the end of this. I don't know. It could be. Could have a bonus question. Hey, when it comes to equipment, what is the decision-making process like during competition? So I'm assuming the players have a very a base level of balls that they're like, these are our core balls. But then I do know from all of our reports that you will often drill special balls that you think will just work at that moment in time on that oil pattern in that bowling center. So they haven't even ever thrown the ball down the lane in at some of these instances, right? And so, how does that work? What is the player looking for?
Yeah, very kind of simple but yet complex question. I talked about the benchmark ball type thing and stuff, but once they've kind of gone through their practice session or maybe even one squad of qualifying, we kind of have an idea of what the bowling center, what the lane pattern is asking for, just from where other people in the tournament are playing the lanes and what type of balls they're using. And somebody might have a ball that's, very close, right? If you go watch a lot of our educational videos on YouTube about layouts and the importance of, a pin to pap distance or your mass bias to your pap distance, things like that. So somebody might be using like a 4.5 inch pin to pap, and we might just drill a second ball, with a 5 inch pin to pap just to help it get down the lane a little more, maybe, make a little bit more angular. Or we might do the opposite. We might drill something stronger, makes it flare a little more, read the lane a little earlier so it has a rounder motion to go through the pins properly. So it's using that person's information and kind of their result, to what they're seeing, because everybody's different. But at the same time, you do see trends happen throughout the week on what's kind of happening with the players that are having success. And drilling balls is really trying to help each player mirror the people that are having success. And so, we know what balls have similar types of covers or cores or things like that. And so it's just really trying to kind of fine tune it to see if we can't help them get that extra 5 to 10 to 15 pins a game that, takes them maybe from a caching spot to a match play, or takes them from, middle of the pack in match play to making the show and having a run at the title.
Awesome. I love it, Rob. I want to, there's a couple balls that were launched on 900 Global side. And this was a unique project for us at Team SPI because we launched 2 balls together. They launched simultaneously. Both share the same core property, but have drastically different shells outside cover stock. And they're really doing a bang up job. And I'm not trying to oversell anything here, but the Cove is extremely functional on fresh conditions, and then the Ember is a little cleaner and a little sharper. Have you got to watch those go down the lane at all before we roll the video?
Yeah, we did. Same type of thing. We got those at the end of the PWBA season. We had them over in Sweden at the Storm Lucky Larson. You were kind of going down the path of what I was going to say. They're really a good 1-2 punch, right? Where you need a little traction through oil. They are a symmetrical core, so it's not the big ASIM ball. The Cove would be a little more benchmarky, nice round, controllable motion. The cover stock on the Cove it works very well sanded, and also works well if you shine it up, right? If you got a center that hooks quite a bit, it might be too early, so you can shine up the surface, help it get down the lane, but it still gives you that nice round controllable motion. And then obviously, if you need something a little cleaner or with a little more pop off the friction, you go right to Ember. It's really a good 1-2 punch, and that's the beauty of being able to drill some of these balls. You drill them off each other. This one's very simple. You're not changing any core properties. You're just changing covers and getting a completely different motion.
Yeah, and they do play nice off each other. And the other thing to take in consideration, I think you would agree with me, is for myself now as a senior person, my ball speed isn't what it once was, right? And so there's got to be a good amount of oil on the lane for me to throw a bigger ball. So, like you said, a Cove with a little shine on it, that might be the trick for me, because my ball speed has gotten down, or maybe I just go straight Ember because my ball speed is a little slower, and it'll help get the ball through the fronts, which of course then retains back end motion and better entry angle, right?
Absolutely. You said it spot on.
Well, we're going to watch them go down the lane in this video. Then we're going to be back with a closing question or two. So stay tuned.
The Cove, especially being a hybrid cover coming surface, you can see that was a very predictable ball motion.
Now where we can choose to move left with the stronger ball, the Cove, or we can stay in the same spot with the cleaner ball, the Ember.
I was expecting some down lane motion, but as you can see, that was trucking through them. Cove is the RB85, and what I'm seeing out of that is it's not really forcing me left quick. I'm able to stay in the same part of the lane for a pretty long amount of time and make incremental moves as I get chased left.
All right, well, there's a 1-2 punch, and we're hearing from Andrew Anderson. By the way, what a year Andrew Anderson had. His first time on Team SPI repping the global brand. I think he was second in most of the statistics, but just consistently performed outstandingly, and he's continued it with runs at the Open Championships and all the other tournaments he's been bowling. He's been very good and consistent all year long.
Yeah, it's hard to say kind of career year for somebody that's been a PBA player of the year in the past.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe I hate the kind of comeback player award type of thing, but in a way that's kind of what it is. He kind of found his new groove, got some obviously some new equipment, joined a new team, everything just kind of clicked. And second in points. I think he was second in earnings, just over $200,000 this year. Pretty solid year. But let's not sleep on Mitch Hoope there either. I believe Mitch had his highest point finish ever in a PBA season this year as well, and he just keeps knocking on the door, making some shows, and he's just looking to break out and get himself another title too.
Absolutely. All right, Rob, I got one more official question for you, and then maybe a bonus question for all of us, because if you've watched this long, I want to make sure that we get the opportunity to get a deeper insight into arsenal building, which is my bonus question that I want to leave for the very end, is arsenal building. and arsenal building on your budget. Listen, at Storm, we love bowling, and we're not trying to sell you every new ball that comes out. We want to make sure you've got the right arsenal to go have the most fun you can have, to knock down the most pins that you can knock down. And I'm gonna ask Rob as my closing bonus question about that in a second. But first, I do want to ask, from your perspective, what is the most misunderstood part of a pro's mindset while they're competing? So sometimes when we're competing, things are going really well. Sometimes they're going sideways in a hurry. The pros have to manage all this stuff. What are they really thinking about when we don't know what they're thinking about?
Yeah, great question, and a very difficult question, because it goes a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. You know, I think the most important thing is trying to, you know, maintain some positivity, whether it's going good or bad. You know, we always say, you know, keep things fundamentally sound, and the results will come. Everybody's got a process on how they handle things. Don't, if things are going south, don't let everything speed up and you know, get everything out in front of you. You got to make sure you're taking those deep breaths, making sure you're getting ready for those important shots, and battling your way back into the tournament if you're struggling. You know, so again, the mindset is very different for each person. But a lot of, I always try to say when I help is you got to keep things moving forward, right? Bad shots happen, bad games happen, but you can't, when you throw a bad shot, you can't run after it and get it. You just can't. And so, excuse me, you've got to wait for that ball to come back out of the ball return. You got to get up there and commit, and you know, make the best possible shot you can. You know, the Simos, the Belmos of the world, you know, things don't go great for them all the time either. But you know, the one thing that those two specific individuals do very, very well is once they step up there to throw the next one, they're giving it their best, and that's kind of just what you got to do. You know, on to the next shot, give it your best, and process the information, and keep moving forward.
That's a great, insightful answer. So I appreciate that little bit of tidbit of information as you've seen it up close and personal. If you had to pick, and I'm going to put you on the spot, one of our pros, men, women, and so we have the PBA, the PWBA, but we also have the PBA 50, where we've got some legends competing out there. Who do you think is the absolute best ever, that's on our team anyway, at putting it behind them and moving forward?
Whew, man, there's a lot to choose from. You know, Belmo obviously, you know, comes to mind. You know, he holds the record for most majors won. Liz Johnson is just absolutely incredible. You know, no give up in Liz. You know, just keeps fighting and fighting and fighting. You know, those are kind of two, picking one guy, one girl, that just come to mind on, you know, continually giving it their best. And obviously the results kind of show that they're very good at that.
Yeah, I spent a little bit of time with Norm Duke a month ago. We were traveling together at an event, and I was thinking we were with one of our youth ambassadors, and so it was Norm and myself and the youth ambassador and the youth ambassador's dad, and I was like, how cool is this, that this young rising superstar has the opportunity to be at the table with Norm Duke, who, man, talk about mental toughness. This is one of the best of all time. I asked him the question when we were sitting having dinner, and his pick for the all-time most tough mentally player was none other than our dear friend and one of the nicest people in the world, Mike Albee. He said Mike Albee was the toughest mental guy he's ever seen. Like, and it's so interesting because we all know Mike as being the sweetest, kindest, best human being. Like him and Parker Bode are like just two amazing humans, right? And so, yeah, it's fun to hear a legend like Norm Duke compliment and speak so highly of another legend or two. It's just fun.
For sure. And, it's kind of funny you brought up, Norm and him, mentioning Mike in that way. That's probably one of the things that people don't understand about, the tour and things like that is these people are learning from each other, right? That the greats are absorbing information from the competitor, right? It's not even words. It's just by watching them compete. Why are they being more successful than me? Why is this? And so you're just always learning. I remember, I don't remember the year, I was bowling one of my first USBC Masters, and I happened to be having dinner in the hotel restaurant. And Mike Machuga, who went to Nebraska, and that's where I'm from. He walked in with Norm. They ended up sitting down with me, and we were there for hour and a half. And I don't think I said 20 words the whole time, Gary. I just listened to Norm talk.
Yeah.
Right. And it's free information, right? It's just,
Yeah.
and so the players are continually doing that of learning from each other as much as they're trying to learn from whether it's us at Storm about products, their personal coach, things like that. It's just you're always learning.
Always learning, always be learning. All right, people. I said I would ask one bonus question, and this is directly for all of you that tuned in this long because I think it's the most important thing as a bowler that you need to understand. And maybe we do a whole segment on it someday. I'm sure we will. But for right now, while I have Rob, we're going to pick his brain, just real quick, high level stuff. Rob, don't go into all the details. But listen, everyone has different budgets. Everyone has different responsibilities in the world. Some people roll with one ball. Some have two. Some have three. Some have six. Listen, we don't care how many you're buying. We want you to get the right ones for your game. How does someone go about that's a regular league bowler like myself go about getting an arsenal? Of course, we got our VIP Pro Shop Network, and they're the best resource right there, right then and there. But maybe just a few tops or tips for us.
Yeah, I think the simplest way, Gary, is I say you need to build yourself a matrix. It looks like a tic-tac-toe board, right? You're going to have 9 boxes. You're going to work with your pro shop operator on building this matrix. I'll go back to saying benchmark ball again. A benchmark ball is different for all kinds of different people. But whatever your benchmark ball is, that goes right in the center of the matrix. And then you kind of build off of that. If you seem to be maybe struggling a little in your league or in tournaments where your ball doesn't hook enough, so you're going to need something a little stronger. So you might go up towards the kind of top left of the matrix where you need a stronger ball. Then maybe your next purchase is something weaker. So everything kind of fits around that benchmark ball, and then you kind of tweak it after that. And then depending on, like you said, how many balls you're going to put into that matrix, that's where the pro shop operator, or your coach or whoever can really help, build out a more complete arsenal, and doing it with layouts as well. Because sometimes in that matrix, you have 2 of the same ball. A lot of professionals on our side have 2 phase 2s. They'll have a pin up one and a pin down one, which obviously the pin up one has, it's usually drilled a little stronger, flares more, just has a little more overall hook, and the pin down one will flare less, get a little further down the lane, and maybe just, help, blend the friction out a little bit. But that's the simplest way to say it. A grid, just like a tic-tac-toe board, your benchmark ball starts in the middle, and then you build around it going either stronger or to weaker or vice versa.
Yeah, and it does make sense. We're super sensitive. These things are pretty expensive, so we know that they're a big investment. I know that for myself, I like to play a little bit of golf with my son. Rob, you and I have played a couple times. I take 14 clubs. That's how many I'm allowed to take, I believe, in my bag. That's what the rules of golf say. I take all 14 of them. I might not hit all 14 of them, or I might. I don't even know. But I take as many as they'll allow me. My suggestion is to figure out what you're comfortable with is spending-wise. These balls are all designed to do different things. It's one of the most fundamentally, I guess, it's one of the things I'm most proud about the development team here, led by Hank Boomershine, and we got Alex, and we got Steve Klemkin, and we've got all these geniuses, right? And they truly are, they bowl competitively still. So when they're making product, they're trying to make product not only that you're going to love at home, but they're going to love when they're bowling tournaments. They're looking for solutions. They're not looking to make another ball that did the same thing as the old ball. They're looking to make something better and different. And it makes Storm products really great. And yeah, I guess that's it, Rob. I've appreciated our talk today inside a pro's mind. I think you have got to live that for 2 straight years more than anyone in our Storm family. And so thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. And I look forward if we get to do another, segment and we can cover another topic. If you at home are watching, let us know. We'll answer any question. Just go in the comments, say, hey, do a segment or a show on fill in the blank. We'll do it. I'll bring Rob back in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Gary. Anytime we can, help people learn a little more about bowling or our product, I'm here to help. And, anybody on our team at Storm is here to help.
All right, folks, we'll see you next time. Take care and be well.